Hi, everyone. This is Ben from Cryptocurrency News. We're here with Eric, CEO of TrueChain, and he is here to tell us more about the project, the product, their belief, and how they are where they are, how they came to be, and where they're headed. Eric, it's a pleasure to have you here today, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Ben. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for the interview.
Absolutely. So I'd like to really just start off with the mission statement, which is the commercialization of applications being a sign of industry development. Is that kind of the top bird's eye view of what you all are trying to accomplish at TrueChain?
Yes. So when we started TrueChain, it was last year, and the blockchain industry was very quickly evolving in terms of technology and the capital. So we can see the evolvement of the blockchain technology from the first generation of public chain to the second and third generation. So the first generation was mostly about Bitcoin, Litecoin, the Bitcoin Cash, and something like Monero, and so on. So there is an economic model of the proof of work consensus, and also the economics of miners, where the price of the coin can be maintained by the mining economy, and there can be simple scripting on these chains. But the biggest usage of the first generation of a public chain like Bitcoin is mostly about payment. So the second generation is mostly something like Ethereum, where you can put Turing complete smart contract being a program and running on the public chain. So we call that decentralized applications. But there is a big problem of the second generation public chains. That is a conflict between decentralization and efficiency. So on one hand, we have blockchains like Ethereum, which is super slow but very secure and decentralized. But on the other hand, we have projects like EOS, and we have consensus like DPoS, and the delegated version of consensus like BFT, where the efficiency is greatly improved, but the level of decentralization is greatly reduced. So it seems that in 2017, this conflict is not solvable. But in fact, the third generation of public chains is solving this big conflict. So we have a range of consensus algorithms that could be applied to the third generation of the public chains, where we can achieve both decentralization and efficiency.
And that
and
is
TrueChain will
that's blockchain 3.0. I'm sorry.
probably we can say that, but the technology is actually quickly evolving right now. So we have I would say we have three major trends of consensus algorithms, which are the building blocks for the third generation blockchains. We have famously the Casper algorithm developed by Ethereum itself, and we have the DAG algorithms, and we have the hybrid consensus algorithms. So the three kinds of algorithms are actually solving the conflict between efficiency and decentralization. And TrueChain started last year. Is one of the first hybrid consensus public blockchain in the world, and we have been developing our public chain over the past few months, and we're actually launching our chain very soon. We're going to have an alpha launch next month, and we'll have a beta launch for public testing in September, and we're going to have an official launch probably in November or December.
Wow, this is very cool stuff. I just want to stop and take a moment. I really like the hybrid approach. Like you said, you have an imbalance right now between efficiency and consensus. And pardon me for looking down, but I took a couple of notes, and I do see. So essentially, the hybrid that TrueChain is offering is FPOW and PBFT hybrid. Is that correct? And,
Yes,
and,
that's
and what that allows, the PBFT portion allows for the fast TPS on chain. I was reading anywhere from 10,000 to 100,000 transactions per second. And then the FPOW is what's used on the back end to validate the transactions. That's correct?
yes, that's correct.
Okay, perfect. Wow. Well, that definitely is a fantastic hybrid. Now, is there, because there is proof of work in there, is there also any proof of stake or nodes or holding anything like that, or is your consensus mechanism built differently?
All right, so we're actually not using a proof of stake because actually proof of stake is a very vague term. We have a two-layered consensus algorithm where, as you said, the PBFT part is guaranteeing the efficiency, and the POW part we call that snail chain is securing the decentralization of the chain. So the original research of hybrid consensus was conducted by two professors from Cornell, Yang Shi and Rafael Paz. But that was a very academic paper, and that was the original idea of hybrid consensus. So they proposed two models. The first model was PBFT POS, and the second model was a PBFT POW. So that means there are two workable versions. I mean, mathematically of the hybrid consensus model, but there is no engineering mapping solution for that. So that means when we actually want to implement a real hybrid consensus blockchain, we will have multiple solutions in terms of engineering. So choosing the best engineering solution is actually very important. So by PBFT FPOW, that means we are modifying the original Nakamoto POW, which is the original version of the proof of work, to the fair version of proof of work, and we
Sorry,
call
I
that
was going to
TrueChain.
ask, is that F in POW? That's what I was assuming is fair proof of work. Everything that I could read from the white paper is what it pointed to.
Yes, so
Okay.
we released a white paper and we released a yellow paper, and the yellow paper is mostly about technology details where engineers you can read into. But the app can be explained as fairness, but the original name was TrueChain. So by TrueChain we mean it's different from original POW. The Nakamoto POW in that we are dividing the blocks into fruits. So the transactions are not directly included in the block. Instead, the transactions are included in the fruits. So the reason we have to implement a fruit chain was from the original design of hybrid consensus.
Okay.
So by doing this, we can lower the mining difficulty for POW because as you can see the current Bitcoin and Ethereum network is not very friendly to smaller miners.
Not cost
But
efficient, right?
yeah, but in fruit chain you can actually mine fruits. In the same time you can mine blocks. So the data structure of a fruit is almost the same as a block. but the mining difficulty is different. So you can imagine that there is a network of blocks, but there is also a network of fruits. So every block is including according to TrueChain's design about 600 fruits. And if you receive a fruit, you can still mine it. So it's very small miner friendly. And the second point of fruit chain implementation is that I'm not sure whether you're familiar with an attack called the selfish mining attack. That is a 25%.
25% attack? Yes.
Yes. So fruit chain is resistant to the 25% attack. So that is another very important feature because when Bitcoin was born, it was starting from scratch. But nowadays we are nowadays we have tens of thousands of GPUs, FPGAs, and so on. We have big miners. For any POW-based public blockchain, there is a challenge where we want to protect this chain from the very beginning, and we want to make the chain as decentralized as possible. So FluChain is protecting that. And certainly, yes, we are. So the mining community of the first generation and second generation blockchains are actually having lower and lower mining profits. So having FluChain gives another I would say opportunity to the mining community because many of these third generation blockchains, they are using non-POW consensus algorithms. So a fair and a working POW based third generation blockchains is actually supporting the original mining community a lot.
And I imagine that ties directly into the sharding optimization that you all have, so that fragments can be processed at a time, as you know, like you said, as part of the fruit chain, which helps with the FPOW, so to speak.
Right. So we have the hybrid model where we have the PBFT part and we have the POW part. So the PBFT part is actually verifying the transactions in very fast rate. But as we can see, the PBFT consensus is actually not unlimited. So there is a bottleneck for PBFT protocol, which could be 10,000 or 20,000. We have to test in a real environment, but so we have to have a way to break through the bottleneck of the PBFT protocol. So that's why sharding is very important. And sharding was not presented in the original paper for hybrid consensus. So we have to design our own sharding scheme.
That was the next question.
Yeah.
It seems that you're implementing sharding on top of all of this, so it's quite a unique blockchain that's being built here.
Yeah. So actually, TrueChain's sharding is a secure sharding, and it's a permissionless sharding, because we currently have projects like Zelica and a few others implementing sharding from the very beginning. So TrueChain's sharding is firstly preserving the security aspect of a hybrid consensus. So if anybody looks into the yellow paper of TrueChain, the sharding design was not affecting any security assumptions for hybrid consensus. And the sharding design actually divides shard into two parts. The primary shard is talking directly to the hybrid consensus itself, but we also have multiple daily BFT shards. So that is in context of sharding of Zilliqa and other projects. So the benefit of that is we're implementing a scheme for secure sharding, and we're expecting there is a so the transactions per second numbers could be multiplied after we actually implement the sharding algorithm. But on the other hand, Zilliqa is assuming they have linear scalability, which means if you have more nodes, you will have more TPS. But by the security design of TrueChain sharding, we don't have we currently don't have the feature for linear scalability. So that is a pro and con of TrueChain's sharding scheme.
Wow, thank you very much for the explanation. That's definitely different than the traditional sharding implementation, and I see where it fits into helping the consensus mechanism here. So moving on, did you want to talk about the 4 layers of protocol, or perhaps anything else about the blockchain itself that's being developed?
Sorry, can you repeat?
Did you want to talk about maybe the 4 layers of protocol that make up the blockchain, the underlying surface, the core layer, the API interface layer, and the smart contracts, and that's basically how you have it tiered.
All right.
In perspective.
Right. So I think that was from the white paper, and yes, it's updated a little bit. So currently, for public blockchains, we actually have we normally have a layered design. So that means we have the consensus layer. In our case, the hybrid consensus, and we have the mainnet, which is supporting the P2P communications and the transactions, the security, and so on. Then we have the smart contract layer, where currently we're EVM compatible, so we're Solidity compatible. So we have we're going to run smart contracts in Solidity, but we're developing a multi-language virtual machine with our collaborators, and we're going to expand the range of languages we can use. And then we have APIs and SDKs. So there's a project on TrueChain called the TrueChain Stella. That is an open source project where you can look it up on our GitHub channel. So that product is supporting the commercial level decentralized applications development and deployment. So that is a layer design. So yes.
Oh, well, you mentioned the GitHub channel, so that leads me to believe that you've open sourced a lot of information.
Yeah, so we are actually every project on TrueChain is open source.
Wow.
And if you go to github.com/TrueChain, you can look up every open source project we are developing. So we have multiple repos, and we have a community of more than 500 people, 500 developers globally, and we have I think 30 or 40 core developers working on different projects. The consensus, the mainnet, the full chain, the integration, the testing, and the products like the Stellar, the Light Wallet, and so on. So we're totally using an open source approach to develop this project, and we want to make the technology community, the developer community, as decentralized as possible, so that we can attract the best talent around the world to join our community and co-develop this public chain.
I think that's brilliant from my perspective. That is what blockchain is all about: transparency, trust in a trustless system. So putting everything like that up on GitHub, which I also believe there's a direct link from your website, TrueChain.pro, if people want to head over to the GitHub from there. And like you said, you've got to already have a very strong community of developers that are putting in their thoughts, their work, their efforts into making this a truly decentralized product for the betterment of everyone. And from that, I want to move a little bit from the technical side into the community and talk about what you all have been doing at TrueChain to engage the community at large, your target audience. You know, who exactly would be using TrueChain? I mean, I see all the advantages myself, but would certainly love to hear it from your perspective.
Yes. So before talking about communities, I would love to talk about the strategy of TrueChain's ecosystem building.
Perfect.
So as a public blockchain, because that is sort of related to the community side. So as a public blockchain, it's really important currently. We're thinking about supporting commercial level decentralized applications in the future. But the important strategy for TrueChain right now is focusing on two things: the technology development and the technology community. The second point is the supporting infrastructure for the public chain. So I'm going to talk about these two things. We all have the consensus algorithms, and every public blockchain is going to have mainnet in the future. So after that, the most important battlefield, I would say, is to build up the layer 2 technology before we can actually get into the depth development. So the layer 2 technology consists of a lot of things. So from our perspective, we're focusing on a few parts. The first part is supporting infrastructure for a smart contract ecosystem. For example, the formal verification tools for smart contracts to guarantee the security of smart contracts. And we're thinking about data storage solution because there will be because the third generation blockchains, we have 10K TPS, then that means we have 100x data, or even 1000x data accumulation rate. So then we have 1000 times bigger data storage requirement than Bitcoin and Ethereum. So that is big. So data storage is very important, and the file system and so on. So there is a whole range of supporting infrastructure on the third generation public blockchain, and everything is still under development and sometimes still in concept. So we're going to use the resource of from TrueChain Foundation to support a lot of this supporting infrastructure, the layer 2 technologies on TrueChain in the next half a year. And we're going to build more tools to support our mainnet and developers. And the second part we are focusing on is to develop tools and platforms for developers and hackers, so that all these developers from different countries, they can very easily deploy decentralized applications on TrueChain. So we're developing the Light Wallet, we're developing Stella, and we're developing a new product, not released yet, called EasyDApp, to help internet companies to put their product on chain very quickly and easily. And the third part we are focusing on is the real decentralized exchanges. So the decentralized exchange was a big topic from many years ago, but the low efficiency of the second generation public blockchain was not actually supporting that. But we believe that the third generation blockchain is going to support very well the decentralized exchanges. So a lot of the tokens will be traded on decentralized exchanges. So we are supporting teams and uh, people who actually develop the decentralized exchanges on TrueChain.
So it's very
Yeah,
much a decentralized movement in all aspects, not just the development of the product, but along with the implementation of it, and up to and including the exchanges in which it is launched.
right. So in general, we are focusing on the layer two technology to support the ecosystem, and we're focusing on the developers community currently more than the decentralized applications themselves. But we are going to start supporting decentralized applications like teams, companies. Probably we're even going to do some business development with some important institutions after the uh, the the mainnet and the layer two technology.
Wow. Okay, that is, well, it's important to get everything lined up in order. It certainly sounds like the
Right.
strategy
So
that
that goes back to the community side of TrueChain.
absolutely
We have two communities. We have the developers community, which I just mentioned, and then we have the users community. So we want both of these communities to be very decentralized in terms of governance. So in uh, our developed early this year we only had a very small core team, mostly about designing the consensus and selecting the best technology and so on. So from March and April we started to build our technology community globally, and when we did that pretty successfully, and we grew our developers community globally from 0 to 500 plus people who actually understand our technology and who are very interested in our development. And so the way we organized developers community is that we proposed a model called SRM ABC model to manage the community. So we have the S means super, who will be the leader of a repo or a project. We have the researcher, we have the repo maintainers, and for contributors, we classify everybody into a system where ABC represents the importance of the tasks. Then we have the incentive model to incentivize every developer who actually contributes to the project. So after that, we have a very rapidly growing developers community, and most of them have been developing on TrueChain, and we have more than 30 or 40 core developers. And interestingly, after a few months, we are paying most of these developers in true tokens instead of fiat. That
perfect.
somehow shows the faith in the community.
Sure,
So
there's a belief in the value of the token because these developers are working directly on the blockchain itself. They see where it is and where it,
yeah,
that
yeah,
sounds
and also I think token is actually more more of the taste of hackers and developers, and people actually love these tokens. On the other hand, we have the users community. I think globally we have a because we have some data from our collaborators, we probably have a user community of more than 70K people globally. We definitely have uh, have have users from US, China, and Korea, and Vietnam, and other countries. So
You're still
sorry.
there, Eric. All
Okay,
good.
okay,
No
cool.
problem.
Yeah, yeah. So we have a very wide range of uh, people in the users group, and we have Telegram groups uh, according to languages people speak. And we have a group called TrueChain Global on Telegram group
Wow.
where you can join. So in terms of user uh, community governance, we're still exploring the model to decentralize uh, it, and we currently have a committee from the foundation to help uh, uh, help establish the decentralized governance model and the decentralized governance committee uh, uh, in the user community, and we're working with our nodes from like our supporters from different countries to
Sure.
establish local communities. So we currently have a big user group, and we're expecting an ever-growing user group for TrueChain.
That's really fantastic. What I love to hear, two things. Number one is the continual repetition of decentralization, and that again goes across the board. Everything that TrueChain is developing on TrueChain's blockchain itself, to the way that the developers are rewarded, and fair proof of work as well. Everything is open sourced, and you're actually leaning and emphasizing and working with the decentralized exchanges as partners more so than having anything centralized. It's really a great example of how true decentralization should operate, as well as it sounds like your own DAO, essentially your own autonomous, a decentralized autonomous organization that will be making the decisions as well based on some consensus, I'm sure. So
Yes, the ultimate goal is to totally decentralize the project, and so we are we're looking at Bitcoin and Ethereum as role models actually.
Absolutely, and you always learn from those, and I think that that's a fantastic goal. Total decentralization of a product is true proof that you can decentralize something and capitalize on it as well. It's really fantastic. And then the
Right.
other part of the proof that I enjoy hearing and seeing is the active community. I did take a look at the GitHub, and I'm not a coder, but there sure is a heck of a lot of code out there, as well as a lot of user submissions and a lot. I am in the Telegram channel, a lot of followers there. So, like you said, the community is there. They're behind you. They support you, and it's really terrific to see that.
Yes.
And so, next steps with the community or with the project. Is there anything in particular you wanted to talk about? One thing I wanted to mention. It seems you guys have been hitting point by point on your roadmap. You have a aggressive would be the wrong word. Just a very strong commitment to moving. It seems month by month you've got something coming out on your roadmap, and you have achieved every milestone so far that I've seen, and it's quite impressive. And wondering if everything is still on track and still looking sharp.
Yeah, so as we're transforming our team into a community-driven model, we actually are attracting more talents than ever. So currently we are on our track, and technology-wise, we have a growing technology community, and the people are contributing very actively. So before August 15th, we're going to test test internally about important issues, and we're going to do integration between three repos. We're integrating TrueChain, the mainnet, which is Ethereum compatible, and the hybrid consensus module, the algorithm module. So we're integrating three repos on GitHub, and we're releasing a test version of we call that alpha version of our mainnet in 15 days. So after that, we're going to have 1 month. We're working with major security service providers, the auditing service, and so on. So we are improving the parameters, the security aspects of hybrid consensus, as well as a mainnet. And we're going to have a very thorough testing procedure for the mainnet during the following months. And we're going to release the beta version around 15th of September 2018. And that is going to last for about 2 or 3 months for public testing. So we're going to release a mining algorithm when the beta version is released, and we're going to have a permissionless environment for everybody to join, and everybody can test on our beta mainnet. And we're going to welcome DApp developers to develop testing smart contracts and decentralized applications on our testing network. So as we are developing probably the first hybrid consensus blockchain, we're expecting some issues to occur, and we have to solve those issues during this testing phase. So after we solve every problem, we're going to release the official version of the mainnet, and we're going to have the official Genesis block, and we're going to do the token mapping, the connecting our official token to exchanges, and so on. So that is a basic roadmap for this year. But in the meantime, we are going to have teams, or we're going to support teams to develop the layer 2 technology, the sharding, the speculative transaction execution, and we're going to talk to potential DApp developers, organize hackathons, work with technology communities like the Starfish space, Ethereum San Francisco, and the Chinese Ethereum developers groups, and so on. So we're working with partners to involve DApp developers, and also involve companies who are interested in building up TrueChain dApps. So everything is going to happen in parallel with mainnet development, and the community-driven approach is the key to actually achieve that, because TrueChain as a public chain is building a large ecosystem of decentralized applications. So that is so the community-driven approach is crucial. So on the operation side, we are mostly working on global communities for our token holders. So we're going to introduce TrueChain to people in different countries, but we want to do that in a decentralized way. We want to connect to local TrueChain nodes, the people who like TrueChain, and they want to help TrueChain develop local communities. So I'm expecting our team, Wen and other colleagues, to connect to a lot of local supporters to develop our communities very rapidly. So we are doing two things side by side.
Right. That's, I was going to mention that the efficiency there is fantastic. You're building your community in tandem with building out and developing the product. The security obviously is of utmost importance to the team. That's great to hear. In a decentralized world, there obviously still needs to be security layers and protocols built in, as well as the alpha testing moving on to the beta testing in September. And it really sounds like, you know, you already have a use case as far as a community-driven use case for all your developer members that have participated and added code and things to GitHub. But not only that, you've got your actual community engagement, your nodes, so to speak, all around the world. Those that are there to talk about, discuss, promote TrueChain and everything that it stands for, and the fact that you're running everything in parallel is really fantastic. It helps keep the project online and the feedback consistent, so that you don't have to constantly rework a lot of the stuff that you're doing. I think it's really brilliant stuff there. So what's the easiest way the community can get involved? Do they jump in? I know visit your website at truechain.pro. Do they Telegram channel? Is that where they're most engaged? I know it's a bit different depending on developers and regular community members. So how do they all jump in?
Yes. Thanks for asking that question. That's an important question. So if you are a developer, you can follow our GitHub link, which is github.com/TrueChain. And there are issues to be solved, and you can just directly jump into the coding part, or you can join our Gitter channel, which is Gitter.im, I think, /TrueChain-net.
Okay.
Because our the original name TrueChain was taken, I think, so we did the -net thing.
No problem. We'll put a link in the video for the right spot.
That would be great. Thanks, Ben. Yeah. So if you jump into that Gitter channel, you look at our core developers, and if you want to join, just leave a message. If you're in China, we do have a few WeChat groups for developers to join, and there are also tasks to be dispatched in those groups. So the way developers join is actually when you jump in, we're going to so there'll be a core community member from the tech side will talk to you, and there'll be some simple tasks to be dispatched, and the developers can all solve those problems and push the code. And we love the approach where we have developers gradually involved deeper and deeper. So a few of our core developers are actually originally developers from the community who just solve very simple problems, but they loved our project, and they gradually involved deeper. So if you want to be our regular community member and contribute to the project, we have the TrueChain Global Telegram group. I think if convenient, Ben can post that later.
Yes.
To the channel. So if you join that group, and you will find one who is in that group, and so similar to, so we're borrowing concepts from the technology community where we're dispatching some tasks, or you can also propose to us. So when we have tasks, you can solve those problems. Normally, it's about proposing ideas or promoting TrueChain in some regions, organizing local meetups, and so on. So most of them will be interesting, I guess. But we're also looking for talents from different backgrounds. Because while we are developing this user community, we want people of different skills and different background from different countries to actually help us. So we're open to almost everybody from every country to help us. And the incentive model will be very similar to technology community. People will receive true tokens when they help us.
That's really exciting to hear. I mean, I think you can see the grin kept growing on my face. Like I did my research. I read the white paper, but it's one thing to talk to not just a member of the community, but the CEO of the company, and to see the vision that you share and that I'm sure your team shares of not just decentralization, but more importantly, putting that power into the hands of the people in every aspect possible, from putting it onto the exchanges to develop.
Yeah, just lastly, we just did an internal decentralization reform, and we transformed the governance of the foundation to a decentralized committee, where we now have 7 people committee in our foundation, and we have the rotating committee similar to our consensus algorithm, but the rotating period right now is 3 months, and we want to use this approach to constantly putting the best talent, the best decision makers to the foundation, so that we can always have the best people to make the right and best decisions for TrueChain. And we also removed the titles of CXO. So everybody is so in the decision committee of the foundation, everybody is a decision maker, and we hope that could help the foundation not only decentralize but also grow in a very healthy way, where capable people can join, and we have the funding team, and we have the foundation's tokens prepared for best talents in very long term.
Wow, that is really fantastic. And to the developer community out there, you heard it straight from Eric. Go to their GitHub. You follow the link from TrueChain.pro, and we'll put it in this video as well. You can get right to work. You can check out everything that they've done, I would imagine, since the beginning, and move forward from there. To the community at large, the Telegram group, there's tons of ways to get involved. We'll make sure again to drop all those links, and of course visit their website to learn more about any of that. Eric, is there anything else you wanted to talk about on the community side? It sounds like everybody is very engaged. You've got me extremely excited. I'm going to go tell a lot of my developer friends about this. Go check it out, see what they can work on. You know, open sourcing a blockchain is not something that you see as a regular project. So this is quite unique, and I think quite beneficial to the masses. Like you said, it's going to require talents from all around the world, community members from all around the world. So the global engagement is there, and that's something that's very exciting, and I believe is to go to, we'll call it back to the blockchain 3.0. I think that's where we're all moving. It's no longer just a peer-to-peer cash payment system. This is a whole world that is being brought together through transparency, through trust, through decentralization.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Ben, for asking that question. I think lastly, I would say the TrueChain, if we are going to succeed, we are going to have the best ever community in order to succeed. So I want to say just we are really open for everybody to join our community, and we are going to share our visions. We are going to share our technology, our code base and technology. So we will have talented people from both the technology side and the operation or community building side to join TrueChain so that we can build this public chain infrastructure together. The ecosystem is evolving very rapidly. Just for the past half a year, we were talking about consensus algorithms, and we're talking about mainnets and so on. But right now we are so the major public chain projects, they are launching their mainnets, and now we are talking about layer 2 technologies and the infrastructures and so on. Very soon we're going to start embracing dev developers. As I think sometime next year, and we're going to have major internet companies. We are going to have major traditional business and developers from all over the world to start developing decentralized applications. And we hope that TrueChain is going to be one of the major infrastructures in the world to support this huge economy. So we're really open for everybody to join us, and thanks for watching this interview.
Terrific. The strategy is there, the vision is there, the implementation is coming along greatly. Everything seems to be moving exactly as planned. The community engagement and development is there, and most importantly, the decentralization, the transparency, the ability for the community to come in, work on the project, and really truly take ownership of it makes it feel more like it's theirs, and it really is. It's everyone's to share. So like you said, let's bring in the brightest minds, attract the brightest people around, bring in a community of talent, and make TrueChain, you know, one of those the great platforms that are being developed out there.
Yes.
Okay, outstanding. Well, the last thing I want to talk about very quickly before we summarize everything, just so that I have my numbers right, there's only 100 million tokens to be minted. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and for the ICO itself, is there a hard cap or a soft cap? Anything that people need to be familiar with? Just a quick summary on that.
All right, so we have a total supply of 100 million tokens, and we have 30% of these tokens preserved by mining. So that is going to start, I think, somewhere between the beta testnet and the official mainnet launch. And we have so we have the TG event mostly for private placement, meaning the investors. So that is about 25%. And then we have the tokens for ecosystem building. We're preserving for future support and investment into the layer 2 technology and also the developer communities building. So we're dispatching this. So we're distributing these tokens to the community members who are contributing to our project. So we have tokens preserved for foundation's cost and the funding team, and I think that's all. And the details could be looked up in the white paper.
Sure. And one thing I do want to point out that I really love is the vesting period with the team itself is up to 36 months, so 3 years, which shows me, you know, true belief in the project. You know, people are really trying to do their best to get this thing up and running and up to speed, and the vesting for that period of time just goes to show people's testament, commitment, and belief in the project. So thank you very much for explaining the tokenomics. And I just want to finish this by saying it's been incredibly eye-opening. I did my own homework, of course, but you really explained where TrueChain is today, how it got there, and what TrueChain is going to solve in the future. To the community at large listening, we're really excited to have you get on board with TrueChain. We'll make sure to post all relevant links as we put the video up. Please visit TrueChain.pro, go to their GitHub site. There's links from there, Telegram, everything like that. get involved, and please ask questions. I'll be quite frank, Eric's been the most receptive to constructive criticism from what I've seen, from a CEO standpoint, from an IT standpoint, that I've ever seen. So get on in there, go on into to their channels, and see how you can help and get engaged today. People are already in there doing it. It's absolutely fantastic.
Thank you, everybody, and thanks, Ben, very much for this interview. It's a very good start for our online presence as well.
Absolutely. I definitely think you've already laid a very good start. I hope that this helps bolster the community, bring some more eyes onto the project. I certainly will be paying more attention, be getting more involved in the Telegram channels and everything like that. Really look forward to it. And thank you again.
That'll be fantastic.
Watching.
Thank you, Ben.
Absolutely. Have a great day, and everyone take care. Thanks again for watching another video from Cryptocurrency News. And Eric, thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks, Ben.
Have a great day.
Have a good day.